Welcome in to the Sasha Bowl Podcast, episode 16. What? It's championship week. What? Shut up, Raahi. All right, that's right. I'm your host, Danny, as usual, with my co-host, Cosbro.
Hello, everyone.
And this week, as usual, for the playoffs, we've got two guests coming back at you again. We got Duncan.
Hello, YouTube. What is up?
And this week, we are graced by the presence of the guru.
Yeah, what's up, guys? Honestly, I'm just here to support my son through this podcast. And the only thing I'm going to say to you, Danny and Cosmo, is I hope you guys aren't traveling this break for the holidays, because when I mean traveling, I hope you guys aren't flying anywhere. Let's just say...
I'm just going to cut you off. I'm going to cut you off right there. All right. Welcome into episode 16 of the Sausage Bowl Podcast. We're getting towards the end of the year. We're in championship week here. And as Raahi mentioned, we'll find out who's actually the son later on. We'll get to that. We'll get to that later. But, thank you for joining us once again. In championship week, we got Duncan, we got Raahi here with us, we got Cosmo and I as usual, and it's been a juicy year so far, and we'll see how it wraps up here. But first things first, so we had Duncan was playing this past week, I was playing this past week in the champion or in the playoffs, and Cosmo and Raahi faced each other in the consolation for 5th place, so that was juicy. We don't have Nahum on the show. He was here last week, but Raahi was in the playoffs. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's hit up Raahi and Cosmo first. How was y'all's weekend? How was this intense 5th place battle? Yo, Cosmo. Hello? Where did everybody go? All right, I apologize, everyone. It seems like we're having some technical difficulties. Oh, my internet went out. I'm not sure if this is still recording, but we will see. All right, I apologize for that. We had some technical difficulties. It may or may not have been my internet, but we're not going to bring that into question. So as we were discussing, we had a juicy 5th place matchup here between Raahi and Cosmo, two people on the show today. So, Cosmo, how was that intense 5th place battle?
There were huge stakes on the line. One of us was going to be in the top half. One of us was going to be a bottom. And let's just say I sucked it up, but I still ended up winning. So I don't know what that says about my opponent.
How do you feel about that, right?
Whatever, dude. Cam Newton, he's having some shoulder issues. He's like the Markelle Fultz. I was telling this to Duncan earlier. He's like the Markelle Fultz of NFL. He's going to forget how to throw the ball.
Dude, I think if by shoulder issues you mean just being a quarterback issues, then yeah, I think you're right.
Ouch.
Yeah.
But all right, and then Duncan, how was your week in the semifinals against our boy Nahum?
Ooh, it started off real rough, extra rough, but the fight milk pulled it out in the end. So good week.
Saved by Gurley once again.
Hey, I'll take it.
Hey, when you drafted him, When you drafted him, you looked at me and you said, Gurley's going to take me to the end. And I was like, all right. So,
Yeah, dude. As soon as you said like when the draft order was announced and you asked who Fight Milk was, I just knew. I knew from that moment.
what if I had been like, who's Fight Milk? And you're like, oh, that's me. And I was like, you got the last pick.
Well, I mean, you ended up in the final with
Yeah,
the,
that's
the
true.
last
It
pick,
actually,
so it's pretty
Gordon and
poetic.
Julio
You know.
haven't been too bad.
First overall pick against the last overall pick.
Oh, dude, I know, but we're getting a little ahead of ourselves here. Yeah, I faced Brandon this week in the semifinals, the age-old rivalry going against each other once again in the playoffs, and this time I was victorious and moving on to the championship, as Duncan said, to face him. But we'll get more into that later. Right now, let's get right into it with Anchorman Cosmo and the news.
It was a very brutal week for the injuries. Ow!
Ow!
Yeah, I had to do that since I guess we don't have that drop anymore.
I only have so much room on this soundboard, dude.
All right. Well, after every injury, if you could do that again, that'd be great. Anyways,
Ooh,
we have a lot of
Mm.
injuries here. A lot of brutal in-game injuries happened this week, so we'll go ahead and review that for the week. First off, we have Mr. Green himself, Aaron Jones. He had an MCL sprain and is likely to miss rest of the season.
Ow!
Duncan, do you think this has anything to do with his kind of his out of his extracurricular activities?
You know, I could see it, smoked one too many doobies.
Yeah, man, you got to lay off the drugs because you're giving Jamal Williams some chances, and that's no one wants to see that. And
Wait,
I
can
did
we
not.
talk about real quick how Jamal Williams actually looked like a good running back against the Chicago Bears defense? Like, what?
He's the next MVP.
Maybe Mike McCarthy was onto something.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, well, Jamal Williams will get his chance to somehow be the starter next year and put Aaron Jones back into Uncle Nahum's basement, but we'll see how that goes. We also have an injury, a couple of mid-game brutal injuries. A couple of bums left the first quarter of their respective games. First off, we have Keenan Allen, who sustained a hip injury. Oh, yeah. He sustained a hip injury in the first quarter when going for a touchdown and is actually, at first they said he was going to miss multiple weeks, but now I saw a report that he is actually, there might be a chance he plays for week 16. So I guess Mr. Fight Milk might want to keep your pulse on that. And then also we have Lamar Miller, who hurt his ankle in the first quarter of his game this Saturday, and he is also questionable for week 16. All I can say is these guys are a bunch of pussies. Moving on, we got Tyler Boyd, who also sustained an MCL sprain and is going to be out for this season. Bengals don't really have a lot going for them anyway, so might as well rest their guy here. And another injury for Whip My Nips. Add it to the list. And finally,
the ever-growing list.
Finally, God Gurley, the savior of Duncan's team, almost gave Duncan a heart attack when he left the game midway in this past Sunday night game with a knee injury. He ended up returning to the game and should be good for week 16, but it's something you might want to keep monitoring. And that's the injury for the week. Pretty short and sweet.
Thank you, Anchorman Cosmo. As usual, you are a valuable part of this team, keeping us informed. And no, we're not going to increase your pay at all. All right, top players of the week. Let's get right into it. It was actually a pretty low-scoring week overall for the most part. The top quarterback this week was Matt Ryan with 25 points for Akshay, picking him up off the waiver wires after I dropped that bum. And he was our number one quarterback. So 25 points, the most this week. Not a whole lot for quarterbacks this week. But number 2, Deshaun Watson, 22.36 points on Aaron's bench. That's kind of where he's been all year because of Pat Mahomes. Number 3, Sam Darnold. Darnold Schwarzenegger himself, 21.62 points free agent. No one had him. Josh Allen, 19.76 points, more like a running back rather than a quarterback, but he is a free agent as well. And the final one, Mitchell Trubisky, 19 points on Cameron's bench, coming back with that shoulder injury, leading the Bears into the playoffs this year, clinching a playoff spot. So good job for them. But Duncan, how about you hit us with those top 5 running backs?
All right, number 1, after being the laughingstock of the Sausage Bowl for many weeks, for the second week in a row, Derrick Henry leads our running backs with 29.7 points, sitting nice on my bench. I did not trust him, not yet, but he might see some playing time this next week. And then number 2,
I hope so.
Number 2, Todd Gurley. For myself, of course, with 29 points, coming in clutch for me in playoff time. Number 3, Dalvin Cook, 28 points. It was interesting to see the Vikings kind of go back to start going to the running game for the first time this season. Worked out pretty well for them.
How about
Number
firing
4,
their offensive coordinator, and the next game they score 41 points?
Yeah. I guess they knew what they were doing there.
Sucks to be that guy.
And then number 4, Damian Williams, 27 points for Danny. Nice pickup there. A nice start. And then number 5, Joe Mixon, 26 points for Cosmo.
You know what's funny, Cosmo? Why couldn't he do this for you during the season?
Joe Mixon?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, story of my life. But, I mean, Joe Mixon's been pretty good this season. I can't really complain too much. I mean, he hasn't had this good of a game, but he's been solid this year.
Well, the last 2 weeks he's been over 20, and before that it was like 6 weeks of being like 15 or less, I feel like.
Yeah. I mean, he barely had games 10, so, I mean, he hasn't really been bad. And I guess during the crunch time of the season, he came up big. So I have no issues with Mr. Mixon. I've bigger fish that piss me off.
All right, Raahi, hit us with those top 5 wide receivers on the week.
All right. Number 1, we got Nuke Hopkins. Of course, that's going to be on Cameron's team. He's anything but last, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So it doesn't really matter. Sorry, Cameron. And then we have Mike Williams. He's in there in the free agency. 33 points. Got Doug Baldwin with 21.7 points. Free agent. And we got Alshon Jeffrey with 20 points. Damn, Cameron. Sorry, bro. And then, I don't even know if this guy's real. Robbie Anderson. I don't even know what team he plays for. He got 19 points, and he's a free agent. There you have
He's the number 1 wide receiver on the Jets, bro.
Bro, the Jets?
Raahi's got a point there. Like, Jets have been like completely. I forgot Sam Darnold was in the league until this past week.
I get it, but like last year he came in and blew up and was like a big name, and like I don't know. I just feel like, you know, the first tight end this week, Garrett Selleck, you know, is more of a who the heck is that guy?
He's no Mike Hunt.
Yeah.
Definitely not.
Well, speaking of Mike Hunt, let's go through these tight ends. Number 1, Garrett Selleck with 13.1 points, a free agent on the waiver wire. And number 2, we have Trey Burton with 11.6 points for Aaron, who's been very hit or miss this year. Number 3, speaking of hit or miss, we have Evan Ingram with 11.5 points sitting on Taylor's bench.
Yikes.
Yikes, indeed. Number 4, speaking of who is this guy, Chris Manhertz.
He's a man.
Points.
And it hurts.
And no, this is not a troll. Yeah, this is surprisingly this is not someone putting in a troll answer. This is a real guy. Apparently, he's on the Carolina Panthers.
He's the one that caught the touchdown from Christian McCaffrey last night.
Yeah, so Chris Manhertz coming in at number 4, and then finally rounding out our list, Travis Kelce with 9.6 points for Nathan. And it looks like we have a last-minute addition. Jonas Gray scored 100 points from the tight end solution. coming in at number 6. He had 100 points, but somehow was the 6th best tight end this week. So keeping you updated on the top scores of the week. Hopefully next week, most of you guys in the consolation bracket, you can see your guys here as well.
Yeah, who cares about those bums? All right, thank you guys for listening out. The top players of the week. Yeah, as Cosmo said, try to get if you're already out for this year, next year, try to draft some guys that are going to end up in the top 5 because that's what gets you wins. But all right, let's move right into our bench Ragrets of week 15. All right, first up we got Cameron on his bench. We got Mitch, 19 points, Matt Breida, 12 points, and Alshon, 20 points. Looks like Nick Foles has more of a connection with Alshon Jeffrey whereas Wentz, is more with Zach Ertz. Thank you, Nick Foles, for missing Ertz 3 times on a touchdown. It was 3 plays in a row, went straight to Ertz. The play was like perfectly designed for Ertz, and Nick Foles overthrew him on every single one. I was like, are you kidding me? But I guess it didn't really matter this week. But anyway, Taylor on the bench, Ragrets. Once again, oh my God, I'm getting attacked. Josh Reynolds, 9.5 points, and Evan Ingram, 11.5 points. Who would have thought that Evan Ingram would score more than Kittle this week? And then Raahi, do you want to talk about this bench Ragret?
You can't talk about it, Dan?
Nah,
Why not?
I don't believe in that.
All I'm gonna say is Allah wasn't with me this week.
That is short for your players suck so bad you didn't bench Ragrets.
So
Cosmo,
Raahi,
like I said, don't travel this week, man.
oh God. Yeah, Raahi finishes in 6th place on the season. Cosmo locks up 5th place. So right in the middle. That means Raahi is below average and Cosmo is above average. So or right at the average mark. So
yeah, right at average.
yeah, right. So Cosmo is average and Raahi is below average. That's how they finished their season. But all right, Nahum on the bench Ragrets with Tyrell Williams, 10 points, and Latavius Murray, 12.8 points. Would that have gotten him the win? I didn't look at that. He needed 10 points. No, I don't think that would have gotten him the win. No, yeah, I wouldn't have gotten the win. So nothing he could do there. But actually, that might have gotten him the win. 7 points. Who cares? I don't feel like looking. Nahum's out. Who cares anymore? All right, Brandon rounds up the bench Ragrets with probably the most regretful bench of the week, even though he still would not have gotten the win. But Tennessee defense got him a nice 17 points over his 2 points from the Giants. I mean, who would start the Giants over the Titans? But anyway, and then, man, this was bad, guys. This was bad. So I believe Brandon had Marlon Mack in his lineup the entire week, and then right before the game started, a word came out that Frank Gore was going to miss the game. So the one guy that's been taking carries away from Kenyon Drake and giving the dumb coach a reason not to play Kenyon Drake was gone. And so it was like, oh, so juicy for Kenyon Drake. Brandon took Marlon Mack, shoved him onto the bench, threw in Kenyon Drake right into the starting lineup, and was like, Kenyon Drake is going to take me to victory. And nope, Marlon Mack got 25 points on Brandon's bench, and Kenyon Drake did not do too well. We'll get into that in a second. But yeah, no, Kalen Ballage made sure that Kenyon Drake did not do well. And we're pretty sure the Dolphins coach hates Kenyon Drake. That's pretty much our conclusion at this point. He got 1 carry in the entire game. But yeah, so Marlon Mack, 25 points. Luckily to help sting a little less, Brandon still would not have won with those guys in his lineup. But yeah, kind of stinks. Last second switcheroo for Brandon and did not work out for him. But
Dude, I just gotta say, like, shame on the Dolphins. Like, Brandon, he's been a day one Dolphin supporter, like, since the beginning. He's always been about the fins up, and man, this whole season they've just like hoed him. Like that's the loyalty they show to their fans.
They can't even repay him after his Miami Miracle play. Instead, they throw in some random guy from the stands, Ballage.
I just don't get it. Like, Kenyon Drake, he just shows such good flashes, and then they reward him by just like not playing him at all the next game. I don't get it. But yeah, he single-handedly wins them the game against the Patriots, against their arch nemesis. He wins them the game, and he gets 1 carry the next week. Like, it just
Quite
doesn't
puzzling.
make any sense. But all right, those are our bench Ragrets, and just like we said with the top players of the week, you better not find yourself on the bench Ragrets because that means Yo's losing, right, Cameron? He definitely made a home for himself there this season, but
Dude, we need to file a missing persons report on Cameron. I'm not sure when the last time he's listened or checked his team, honestly.
I checked today because I noticed Cameron wasn't really responding to much in the group anymore, and he hadn't like mentioned anything about the podcast. And so I went and checked today, and yeah, he has the group chat muted. So I think Cameron after the playoffs started, I think he kind of tuned out. So
The bitter disappointment was too much for him.
yeah, yeah. At least he didn't get last, but yeah. So I think Cameron is no longer with us, but. Oh well. All right. Well, moving in, we've got our fart and shart of the week. So as we always say, you're in public, you gotta fart. You're taking the risk. Is it gonna come out as a nice, quiet fart, no one notices, or is it come out as a stanky shart all over the place, and everyone is gonna see your nasty, nasty poop stain right there on your butthole? But all right. So this week's fart of the week goes to Damian Williams on my team. That is correct. This guy is like the 3rd string running back for the Kansas City Chiefs. Oh, God. This guy is like the 3rd string running back for the Kansas City Chiefs. And let me tell you, he is not not that great of a running back. I mean, he was on the Dolphins last year, kind of had that whole thing between him and Kenyon Drake, and he would come in and he'd look like a little rock running around, and then Kenyon Drake would light it up, but they'd keep putting him in instead of Kenyon Drake because the coach hates Kenyon Drake. But anyway, so he's the 3rd string running back. Kareem Hunt, we all know what happened to him. Spencer Ware goes down with an injury.
Ouch.
Next up is Damian Williams, and the head coach for the Chiefs was like, yeah, we're going to start trying to get in, a running back by committee or whatever. It was like Damian Williams, Darrell Williams, and Charkandrick West. And so not looking good for Damian Williams this week, going up against the Chargers defense that has been all right against the run. But yeah, so there was a lot of question marks. Is snaps going to get taken away from him? Is he going to get the volume? All this stuff. And he ends up dropping 27.3 points that I really needed because a lot of my starters were injured this past week. And so thankfully, I escape public shame with the fart of the week, Damian Williams. And I can move on with my life and not worry about not having to show my face again in public. But unfortunately, one of our friends, one of our league mates, will no longer get to show his face in public. That is correct. Brandon, this week, has the shart of the week with Kenyon Drake. That is right. Shart of the week goes to Brandon. Sharting all over the place. Everyone sees it. There is poop juice just, spewing out of his
leg.
butt cheek. Oh, all over his leg. Yeah, it's not looking good.
It's like a blender, like when
Chocolate
you get to put the cap on the blender and it goes all over the place.
Yeah.
It's like that.
Yeah. So this
Nasty
week,
shart.
Frank Gore listed as inactive. Kenyon Drake looks like he's going to be the man, or that's what supposedly, but he's going up against the Minnesota Vikings that have a very stingy run defense. And, the head coach just hates Kenyon Drake. And as Brandon said when he was on the podcast, he said he doesn't trust Kenyon Drake, and he's going to ride his bench until he proves otherwise. And so Brandon decided to throw him in there, and he got him 4.9 points. Not good at all, with Marlon Mack scoring 25 on his bench. So, Brandon, you went for it and sharted all over the place. That is right. So, shart of the week, Kenyon Drake for Brandon. Fart of the week, Damian Williams for myself. And, sorry, Brandon. You might want to go clean your pants.
Yeah. Funny thing about these two being the fart and shart of the week. Last season, after Jay Ajayi was traded, there basically were 2 running backs left in Miami that initially split a lot of the carries, but eventually Kenyon Drake got most of the carries. That second person was Damian Williams. And he ended up, finding better pastures, it looks like, and Kenyon Drake is trapped. So funny how things turns out.
Yeah, it's funny how that turns out. But and Damian Williams actually, there's a lot of hate against him, but he does look pretty fast and agile um, in the open field. When there's a bunch of people around him, he gets like half a yard per carry. But whenever he gets a pass, actually, he really didn't. He wasn't that good on the ground. It was mostly the passing game this week. But yeah, so we'll have to see what happens next week. I think Spencer Ware might be coming back. So we'll have to keep our eyes on that. But there you have it. Fart and Start of the week. Brandon. Yeah, don't show your face over again. But all right, getting into our weekly playoff update. Here we go. Getting right into the championship game. We are at the climax of the season here. That is right. We are, we're climaxing right now. But all right, so this week in the consolation bracket, we had Cosmo going up against Raahi for the 5th place trophy. Just kidding. There's no trophy for 5th place because it sucks. But all right, this game was definitely a battle of the 5th place person because Cosmo ends up winning 85-73, taking 5th place trophy, shoving Raahi down to 6th place. And so Cosmo finishes strong and stays at the average mark of our league. And Raahi goes below average. But now we've got a very juicy matchup here between, and get this, you guys won't believe this, but the biggest rivalry in our league. We have Akshay versus Aaron. They both won their matchups this week to go into the 7th place round next week. And we'll get into that in a little bit. But ooh, that's going to be a juicy one. I mean, if you were paying attention to their debate during our draft, ooh man, I can't even wait to see what this game is like. But it's going to be a crazy one. So Akshay and Aaron move on for the 7th place game, and that means that Taylor and Cameron will be facing each other for the 9th place game. Loser gets 10th place. So, that's interesting. You guys, I guess we'll preview this in the towards the end of the podcast. But I mean, Cameron has a chance to end up last here. So, I know it's not the official last, of the regular season, but Taylor might get the win and then take 9th place, but we'll have to see. But all right. And then this week in the playoff bracket, we got to say goodbye to some of our friends. We got to this week we're
There
sad
will
to
never
say
be an Uncle Nahum.
Uncle Nahum is gone. He loses to Duncan after only needing 24 points from a top 5 quarterback on the season and a top 10 wide receiver on the season. And they did not get him 24 points. And Nahum is going home. Duncan sent him packing. And Brandon lost by 50 points to me, and he is going home as well. And we thank you guys for your participation. And we're sending you off into the ocean now. Your boat is on fire. Your body's on fire. Brandon's shart is on fire, and he is going out to sea. Oh yeah, it stinks.
We're standing downwind.
Yeah, not a good idea. But all right, goodbye to Nahum. Goodbye to Brandon. You guys fought valiantly. You made it far, top 4 in our league, and you guys are gonna go battle for 3rd place now. So yeah, that's right. 3rd place battle to see who keeps their money. Goes between Nahum and Brandon. Brandon probably really wants to win that because he's very stingy with his money, so he probably doesn't want to lose any money. Actually, he probably just forgot his wallet, so he better hope to not have to pay. But Nahum was prepping for this battle. He said last week he didn't make any waiver wire moves because he wants to prep for this 3rd place battle and win and not have to pay. But yeah, we'll see how that one goes. We'll preview that in a little bit. But that means the final showdown, the championship of the Sausage Bowl 6 is between number 1 seed President Fight Milk and number 2 seed Whip My Nips. That's right, Duncan versus Danny, the number 1 team, the number 2 team, the Titans clashing in the championship the way that we hoped it would be. Well, at least Duncan and I did. Facing each other in the final showdown. That's right, the championship between us two. So there you have it. This week, championship Danny versus Duncan. Third place battle Nahum versus Brandon. Seventh place battle Akshay versus Aaron. And then the ninth place battle Taylor versus Cameron. So it'll be a juicy week with a lot of matchups. But there you have it, our weekly playoff update. And that's right. Let's see who wins the championship. All right, so let me make a quick switcheroo here. Cosmo, why don't you give some backstory on this segment here?
Yeah, so today we have our special segment, and what's more fitting than having a father and son here, joining us on the podcast, or at least Raahi claims to be Duncan's poppy, but is that really the case?
Yeah.
I think there's some question over who's actually.
Can't see the resemblance.
Why do you? Let me ask you this: Why are you questioning?
It's racist.
Yes. Why are you questioning?
Well, I'm just saying.
What makes you question?
I'm just saying. Duncan was telling me earlier that he said he's your daddy, and so today on the Sausage Bowl podcast on Sausage Bowl episode 16, we are going to determine who actually is whose daddy on this week's segment. Who's yo daddy?
Oh, that's right. Thank you, Cosmo. That's right. This week's special segment between Duncan and Raahi here. We're going to find out who is the actual dad. And no, this isn't one of those shows where the girl's pregnant and they come in and and they do a DNA test and they find out who's the dad. No, this is between Duncan and Raahi to determine who is the father and who is the son. That is right. This week's podcast special segment, we are here with Who's Yo Daddy?
Who's your daddy?
That's right. Here we go. We're here for the Who's Yo Daddy segment. And yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. So this week's competition is a dad joke competition. That's right. Each contestant, Raahi and Duncan, have come up with some dad jokes. And by come up, I mean they probably just looked them up on the internet. But they've compiled some dad jokes, and they're going to go head-to-head with these dad jokes. And Cosmo and I are going to determine who wins each round and who will win the entire thing. So that's right. We've got 11 rounds here. One joke per person per round. And after they say them, we'll alternate who starts each time, and Cosmo and I will determine who wins each round, and whoever gets the most wins out of 11 takes home the title of Daddy.
Who's your daddy?
That's right. So this week's competition, Who's Yo Daddy? So let's get right into it. And Cosmo, who do you think should go first in round one?
Raahi is claiming to be the daddy, so I think we should give him the first shot. Let him prove his worth.
That's true. That's a good point here. So let me get this set up real quick. So Raahi, Duncan. All right, here we go. All right, Raahi, hit us with your first dad joke.
Right, let's go. I'm gonna start off simple and easy, okay, and then we're gonna dive right into it after this first one. Let's start off with the football one. All right, here we go. Why was the wide receiver in love?
Why?
Why, Raahi?
Because he caught feelings.
Ouch.
What the heck? My sound effect isn't working, but oh well.
Ouch.
Let me test this real quick. Is it not working? Yeah, what the heck? It's not working. All right. Anyway, I had a good sound effect for this one, but it's not working here. Okay, so that was Raahi's first dad joke, and Duncan, what's your counter to that in round one?
All right, boys. I got a real gut buster here. What do you call someone with no body and no nose?
What, Duncan?
What?
What?
Nobody knows.
Slapper.
Oh man! All right, Cosmo, that was a good first round. Who do you think we should give it to there?
Man, such great options. Such enthusiastic laughs from the audience. It's a tough one, but I think for round one, I will give this one to Fight Milk.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to say, Duncan's had a little bit more zing this round, so I'm gonna agree with you. I'm gonna say Duncan takes round one to Rahi's 0. So
I'm proud of you, my son.
Well, he might not be your son for long.
yeah,
At this
he might-
rate.
Who's your daddy?
but- all right. Well, since my laugh sound effect is effed up, let's go ahead and get into round 2. So Duncan, hit us off with round 2 dad joke.
All right, boys, here we go. Check this out. I'm reading a book about anti-gravity. It's impossible to put down.
Oh, that's so good. Oh, okay. All right, Rahi.
Oh,
What is your counter?
okay. You know, I was so sad coming in this morning. You want to know why?
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 My Korean friend died this morning, and he was so young.
Oh my God.
All right, Rahi was the round.
Okay, yeah, all right, we have to give that one to
He actually
Rahi. That was-
legitimately made me laugh.
I thought you were just about to insult me, but that was
What the heck? Okay, all right, Rahi. Yeah, Rahi takes round 2 there.
he stepped up his game in round 2. Maybe he is the daddy.
maybe he is the daddy. We'll have to keep going to find out. All right, Rahi, start us off. Round 3, we're tied 1-1. Break the tie here.
Okay. Where do sperm play football?
Where?
A condom.
God dang it. All right, Duncan, you gotta have a good counter for this one, Duncan.
All right. Let's go with this one. So check this out. I bought some shoes from a drug dealer. I don't I don't know what he laced them with, but I was tripping all day.
Shoot, that's a good. Oh man, that's a tough one. Cosmo, what should we do on this one?
You know, I gotta say the condom one was bad, so I gotta go with Duncan on this one.
I know Rahi's was bad, but like it worked. I don't know, it made me laugh. But Duncan's was clever. Duncan's was very. I mean, he tied in 2 puns to his zinger there. So I'm gonna say Duncan as well. Sorry, Duncan goes up 2-1 in round 3 against Rahi. All right. Wait, who went first last time?
Rahi.
All right, Duncan, hit us off. Round 4. Can you extend your lead, or are you gonna choke?
All right, boys. What has 2 butts and kills people?
What?
What?
An assin.
Oh! Oh my God. Okay, all right, Rahi. I'm sure you could just breathe and beat that one. So Rahi, hit us with one here.
Okay. What is DJ Khaled's favorite diet food?
God, what?
A Caesar Khaled.
Oh my God. Oh my God. All right, I'm a sucker for DJ Khaled stuff. All right, I vote Rahi. What's your vote, Cosmo?
That is tough because after I heard Duncan's, I thought Rahi would have been a shoo-in because I feel like it was a low ball to clear, but that almost was worse. But I'll give it to Rahi on this one.
All right, we'll go 2-2. Tied 2-2 after 4 rounds. All right, Rahi, start us off in this pivotal 5th round.
Oh man. Okay. What is a martial artist's favorite car?
I don't know, Rahi. What is it?
Honda?
A Kia.
Ow!
All right.
Wait, can you repeat that? I didn't catch that.
Yeah. So the question was, what is a martial artist's favorite car? You know how they make noise? Yeah, yeah. I said a Kia. A Kia.
Gotcha.
A Kia.
Gotcha.
All right, Duncan. Duncan, the bar is set very low here. Can you jump over it?
What time did the man go to the dentist?
What?
What time?
2:30.
Oh my god.
Oh shit.
I don't. They're both pretty bad, Cosmo. I don't know which one we should vote for.
Just for the fact that Rahi had to explain it twice, I'm gonna go with Duncan on this.
Yeah, we'll go with Duncan. All right, 3-2 for Duncan after 5 rounds. But all right, Duncan, start us off for the 6th round.
All right. How many tickles does it take to make an octopus laugh?
My God.
How many?
10 tickles. Lol. Somehow.
Oh goodness. Okay. Yeah, that was all right. That was actually pretty good. All right, Rahi, what's your counter in round 6?
Here's another shot at DJ Khaled. All right. What do you call DJ Khaled's bra line?
What?
We the breast.
Ow!
Okay, Cosmo, I'm voting Duncan on this one. What do you think?
I don't know. I was feeling that DJ on this one. What do we do in the case of a tie?
Well, we got to give them both a half point, I think.
All right.
I think that's fair.
This is sounding like last game.
Yeah,
Now let's
this
keep the
might,
math score straight.
this
My
might end.
calculations, right through 4-2 right now.
Yeah, Rahi's at 42, Duncan's at 1. All right.
Makes sense.
All right, here we go. 3.5 for Duncan, 2.5 for Rahi. Going into round 7, Rahi, hit us off here.
All right. What is a sore muscle's favorite app?
I don't know. Tell us.
Tender.
No, God.
Oh my God.
That's a no for me, dog.
All right, Duncan. There's a layup here. What do you got, Duncan?
Hey, this one's pretty topical. What did the buffalo say to his son when he dropped him off at school?
What?
What?
My
Who's
son.
good, Daddy?
Mice. Oh my God.
Oh, round 7 was
I
not
don't know.
not
Yeah,
the
round
greatest.
7 was
Get
not
it, my
good.
son. We're talking about who's your daddy.
I don't know if you'll allow this, Danny.
Yeesh,
Stay my vote from this round. I don't think anyone heard my vote.
Oh God. I'm gonna go with Duncan because I liked this one. It was I mean they're both pretty bad. Like a 1 out of 10, they're both down low, but Duncan gives like a 2 out of 10, and Rahi was like a 1 out of 10. So I'll give it to Duncan here.
All right.
All right, 4.5 to 2.5 here. 7 rounds in. We've got 4 more rounds left. Duncan is starting to pull away a little bit, so we'll see here. Duncan, start us off in round 8.
All right, boys. The Secret Service isn't allowed to yell, "Get down" anymore when the president is about to be attacked. Now they have to yell, "Donald, duck."
Yeah,
Crickets,
that was
crickets.
yeah. All right.
Ow!
All right, Rahi, what do you got in round 8?
All right. Did you know diarrhea is hereditary? Want to know why?
Why?
Because it runs in the genes.
Oh man, Brandon would know about that one. Am I right? All right, I'm. My vote's for Rahi on this one. What about you, Cosmo?
Yeah, I think I got to go with Raahi on this one.
Yeah, that's a good one from Rahi. So, uh, here we go. We got
Yay!
8. All right. Forget
Getting
who.
down to the wire.
All right, Rahi, start us off in round 9.
Okay. How do you cut the ocean in half?
How?
With a seesaw.
Ow!
All right, Duncan, another easy layup. What do you got?
Okay, guys. How do you make holy water?
I don't know. Tell us.
You boil the hell out of it.
Oh my god. I feel like by default Duncan wins this round. I don't know.
Yeah, I would agree with that one.
All right, 5.5 to 3.5. We're through 9 rounds. Rahi's got some catching up to do. So let's see if he can do it here. Duncan, start us off for round 10.
Okay. What is the least spoken language in the world?
I don't know. What is
Chinese.
What? Diarrhea.
No, Cosmo. It's sign language.
it? Oh god.
I heard the Kawhi laugh in the background.
Be quiet.
Oh god. Okay, Rahi, what do you got here?
All right. Why can't Simba be trusted?
I don't know why.
Because he's a Lion King.
Ow! Who your daddy?
All right. I'm not sure on this one, Cosmo. I mean, I feel like Duncan's was a little too literal. I don't know.
Yeah, I think on this one, Rahi's more encapsulated the ideal of a dad joke. So I'd have to go with Rahi on this one.
Yeah. All right. Rahi, it is. All right.
And,
5.5 to 4.5 points here through 10 rounds. So the final round 11. If Rahi gets this win here, we tie it at 5.5 to 5.5. We go to sudden death. And Duncan wins here. He takes the whole thing. Or maybe not. I don't know. There might be a miscount again. Not that there was last time, but there might be this time. Who knows? All right. Rahi, start us off here in the final round. Give it your all.
All right, here we go. What's an owl's favorite toy?
I don't know. What is it?
A hula hoop.
Ow!
All right, way to just crap your pants. Way to choke. Yeah, way to choke in this most important part. All right, Duncan. Duncan, I mean, anything, Duncan here for the win. What
This
do
is
you
like
have?
a 5-yard field goal for the win.
Okay. What did the horse say after it tripped?
What?
Help! I've fallen and I can't giddy up.
Oh God.
And the kick is wide.
And the kick is wide right. Oh no, I don't know. Well, what do you vote for, Kazo?
You know, I think I can't tell. They just none of them stand out for me. So just for the sake of improving our ratings and going to sudden death, I'll take Raahi.
Yeah, let's go, Rahi. Oh, 5.5 to 5.5. We're tied after 10 rounds or 11 rounds. What is going on? Oh my God, we're going to sudden death. We're going to sudden death. We are going to sudden death, everyone, in the Who's Yo Daddy competition.
Who your daddy?
That's right. All right, guys,
Sudden death.
scan your list here and figure out what you want to go with in sudden death here. Pick your best remaining dad joke because it's got to be a doozy here. So, all right, Rahi,
I'm
you
literally
started.
Googling real quick.
Wait, you were supposed to have like 20 of them.
I was expecting sudden death.
So we've used 11 out of 20 that you said. Okay, all right. Duncan, do you have yours ready?
uh,
Okay, I see now
Sure,
that
yes,
everyone.
let's go.
I see now that
All
everyone
right, I got-
only picked out 11 after we told them to grab like 15 to 20. But whatever. All right,
I got a classic
Rahi,
one for
are you
guys.
ready, Rahi?
Nope.
All right, Duncan, hit us with your sudden death dad joke.
Guys? How do you make a Kleenex dance?
I don't know, Duncan. How?
You put a little boogie in it.
Okay, that was a good final blow from Duncan here. Rahi, can you
Oh,
handle
did
the
it blow?
pressure?
Like you blow your nose.
Good one, Cosmo. Good one. All right, Rahi, what is your response
you
here?
know
What is
what?
your comeback? Your retaliation here. Can you take the win in sudden death, or are you gonna choke it away?
You know what? Here we go. Why did the bicycle fall over?
I don't know why.
Why, Rahi?
Because it was too tired.
Did you really go with this one? Did you
Ow!
really go with this one here?
It's a special.
God. I'm
It's
I'm gonna vote for Duncan because they both went with classic dad jokes here, but I think Duncan went with the bigger punch here.
Yeah. If I if I choose Rahi, we have a tie, and no one's daddy. But I think in this case, Duncan is the daddy.
Oh, Duncan wins the Who's Yo Daddy competition. He is the daddy now. That is right.
You are not.
Rahi is not the father anymore. Duncan has surpassed the father and become the daddy. How does it feel, Duncan?
Who your daddy?
Oh man, sweet redemption.
Redemption
I
from
am-
what? From losing last time?
Everyone knows what I'm referring to.
I mean, you had a rough go at it last time in our game show, but I'm glad you were able to up the performance and pull it
Yeah,
off.
I'm glad you were able to actually, bring some competition to this time.
I'm just glad my original daddy, Rahi, was able to raise me to become an even better daddy.
yes.
Well,
This was for you.
congratulations to Duncan becoming the new daddy of Rahi, and now he's daddy president Fight Milk. So great year for Duncan here. He becomes a father, he becomes a president, and has a chance at the fantasy title here. But all right, there you have it, our Who's Yo Daddy competition between Duncan and Rahi, and it turns out Rahi is not the father.
I think we missed the golden opportunity not having a game.
Who your daddy?
I know, yeah. I think next time we should get Akshay in on this because he probably is someone's daddy out there. But
That sucks.
all right, well, thanks for tuning in for Who's Yo Daddy, and Duncan is now the daddy. But all right, let's get right into our let's get right into our Week 15 matchup review. Here we go. So last week in the actual playoff, the championship bracket, we had Whip My Nips versus Repeat Offender, and we had I Don't Like Your Kind against President Fight Milk. So Nahum versus Duncan, and myself versus Brandon. So on the one side of the bracket here, for myself versus Brandon, it was actually not looking too good on my side. I was projected 120 to 114 for Brandon. I was hit with injuries like crazy this week. I lost Melvin Gordon, Spencer Ware, James Conner, Odell Beckham Jr. Lost all those guys. I had to put in Damian Williams, Justin Jackson, and Tyler Boyd. But fortunately, I came out with the win here, 134 to 83, taking down Repeat Offender. Some big people on my team. We had Russell Wilson, 19 points, Julio, 17 points, even though Julio ended up leaving the game early with a slight injury. But was still standing on the sidelines, so it wasn't anything major. But he did not play for pretty much the whole second half. Still finished with 17 points. Tyler Boyd left the first quarter with an injury, but luckily got a touchdown before he left. 11.8 points. Damian Williams, Fart of the Week, 27 points. Justin Jackson filling in nicely for Melvin Gordon, 16 points. And then Kaimi Fairbairn, the kicker, getting me 22 points, scoring more than Patrick Mahomes this week. That is correct. He went absolutely wild with a 50-yard field goal, 3 40-yard field goals, and 1 30-yard field goal. All of 5 field goals in the game. And on Brandon's side, Ben Roethlisberger in a juicy matchup against New England ended up scoring 13 points. Tyreek Hill busted with 6 points. Brandon Cooks busted with 8 points. Zeke, not a great week after what he's been doing, 14 points. Kenyon Drake, Shart of the Week here. And then Jalen Samuels, that cheat code in his tight end spot, the starting running back of the Steelers, 18 points, so not bad for him. And then Mark Ingram, Justin Tucker, and the New York defense busting all over the place for Brandon here, scoring close to his season low. So, Cosmo, what did you take away from this matchup?
So my biggest takeaway is this was literally the battle of third string running backs. I mean, Damian Williams came in as the third string running back for the Chiefs coming into the season behind Kareem Hunt and Spencer Ware. Justin Jackson was behind Melvin Gordon and Eckler, and then Jalen Samuels, came into the season behind both Le'Veon Bell and James Conner, and all three of these guys performed very well. Ultimately, your guys performed a lot better, and to me, this speaks more of I think for a running back, it's almost just as important what team they're on and how good the overall offense is rather than the individual player. And I think just going forward, that's a big thing people might want to take into consideration when they're choosing their running backs, because not to say that just some bum can be put into the Chiefs and do well. Obviously you have to be a competent level, but I think this week and this matchup in particular showed me that a team's offense is very critical and very, similar to how well a running back does. Very evident in this matchup.
Instead of trying to pivot to some other starting running back that people weren't using, like Elijah McGuire or some other people, I decided to just stick true with the running backs on Kansas City and the Chargers, just because of the matchup and the offense overall, and luckily it paid off. But Duncan, what were you happy with this outcome? Sad with this outcome? Would you rather have faced Brandon in the championship? What was going through your head watching this matchup?
Yeah, I thought this matchup kind of encapsulated Brandon's season or his team in general. Just because we talked about how Nahum's team was really hit or miss this season, but I think Brandon's team is also kind of like that too. Because I mean, when I saw how little his team scored this season, I just thought back to that week where I can't remember which week it was, but me and him were playing, and I scored 150 points, and he still beat me by scoring almost 170. So it was just crazy how his peak, and yet he scores this. Tyreek Hill with only 6 points. Some weeks he's easily the best receiver in the league. So I think overall though, I was looking forward to whip my nips in the final, so I'm cool with it.
Yeah, definitely. Brandon's team is definitely very hot or cold. I mean, Tyreek Hill is pretty much the definition of hot or cold. If you kind of look back through he had a lot more boom games this year than he normally does, but 32 points, 17 points, 6 points, 10, 10, 35, 17, 8, 10, 29, 38, and then 5, 18, and 6. So yeah, he's just all over the place. Same with, the whole Rams offense is kind of fading a little bit, so Brandon Cooks faded some. But yeah, and then Kenyon Drake is always boom or bust. So Brandon's team mostly busted this week, but yeah, not much he could do there. Raahi, anything to say about this matchup?
Nah, not really, but yeah, I agree with you guys. Brandon was pretty. He has a boom or bust team. Zeke didn't do too good. I feel like if Zeke and Tyreek and if he had put in Mac, if they all did, at least 20s, maybe he would have had a chance. But Dan, I think you deserve this one because, bro, Bro, you keep up with NFL so good, man. Like there's just one like you mentioned. I think you were the first one to mention the Kareem Hunt situation, and like when you mentioned that, I was like, oh shoot, I'm gonna pick up the backup. I saw like, oh crap, never mind. Danny has him, and then there's like another one too. You just had every backup. Like you just knew everything that was going on, bro. You deserved it.
Yeah, I'm not
You deserved
gonna
this win.
give up my source, but I will say I do have a source that seems to get information out quicker than ESPN or some of the major things. But anyway, yeah, I
Ooh.
actually was typing that message to you guys because I couldn't believe that something happened like that to Kareem Hunt. I was like, holy crap, did you see it? And then before I hit send, I was like, I should probably go pick up Spencer Ware. And I went to the app real quick. I picked up Spencer Ware, and then I sent the message to you guys. So, but yeah, no, I was pretty quick on the draw trying to grab Damian Williams and Justin Jackson, especially because I had Melvin Gordon. Oh, well, when I saw, freaking Raahi since like week 2 has had Eckler just like chilling on his bench as a handcuff for Melvin Gordon. And like several times you tried to trade him to me, and I was like, no, I don't want to trade for Austin Eckler. This fool's been holding my handcuff for the whole year. So when they were like, when they announced the third string running back, I was like, F it, I'll pick him up just in case. So yeah, then Eckler went down with an injury, but I kind of saw this matchup. This whole year has been pretty poetic. I come in, I get the 10th pick overall, looking kind of bleak. I go 0-3, things not looking good, not like they're going my way. Rattle off some wins. Fortunate to get the first round bye because I definitely would have been knocked out in the first round, scoring like 80 points that week. So I overcame my first round curse, and then what do you know? The semifinal matchups against Brandon, the guy who's been knocking me out of the playoffs for the last like 3 years. Just always keeping me down. And I was able to overcome him. I feel like I'm just exercising my demons right now. I overcame the first round curse, overcame Brandon, and now got to try to take it home with the championship. But yeah, definitely was a scary week with all the injuries. I mean, you just look at my bench, and it's Odell Beckham Jr. with an O next to his name for out, Melvin Gordon with an O next to his name, Spencer Ware with an O next to his name, James Conner with an O next to it. Yeah, it just wasn't looking good, but fortunately came through and was able to beat Brandon. But all right, moving on to the other side of the bracket here, we had the number 1 seed, President Fight Milk Duncan, going against the number 5 seed, I don't like your kind, Nahum.
Who's kind?
That's I don't like your kind, Nahum, is what I was saying. No, I'm just kidding. But here we go. Yeah, this one was projected for a pretty big blowout here. 133 for Duncan against 108 for Nahum here. And it was a lot closer than I think Duncan would have liked it to be. It finished 100-90 in favor of Duncan. Duncan is moving on to the championship. On Nahum's side here, decent performance from Stephon Diggs, 13.8 points. Tevin Coleman had a really nice performance, finally remembering that he's on a contract year, 20.5 points. His kicker, Adam Vinatieri, who never seems to go away. I think they said he's like 46 or something. Like everyone's talking about Tom Brady, dude. Like this dude's over here about to be in his 50s, still playing in the NFL.
Yeah, they're gonna have to start wheeling him out there for the field goals.
Yeah. Yeah, and then he got 13 points. All right game from Kelsey because the tight end landscape this week was awful. Demaryius Thomas, decent, not too bad. But on Duncan's side, Jared Goff stinking it up once again. Jared Barf, 10.6 points. Devontae Adams against a tough matchup had a nice week, 16 points. Juju Smith-Schuster, 6 points. Todd Gurley, 29 points, saving the day for Duncan. 23 points from Chris Carson, who's been a nice pick. I know I kind of ragged on Duncan for that pick in the draft, but he's been really nice for Duncan all year. Gronk sucking it up once again, 3 points. Keenan Allen giving them that fat goose with the 0 points. And then Chicago defense and Harrison Butker not coming up as big as they usually do. But yeah, so Duncan finished the week at 100 points, and Nahum still had Drew Brees and Michael Thomas to go, like a top 5 whatever quarterback on the season. Michael Thomas, top 10 wide receiver on the season. both of them left to play, only needed 24 points, and they did not make it. Drew Brees finished with 5.9 points, and Michael Thomas finished with 8.4. Not enough to get Nahum the win, so Nahum chokes away his chance at a championship, and Duncan survives his bumpy week here, being carried by Todd Gurley and Chris Carson. Duncan, let's start off with you. What was going through your head through this matchup? Were you freaking out?
Yeah, for sure. I was, as soon as like Keenan Allen, because I was watching most of that Chargers Kansas City game on Thursday, and as soon as Keenan Allen went out of the game, I was just like, oh no, here we go. The first round, or the first place playoff curse is coming in. Like, there's no other way to explain this. Like some random hip injury. Like, so I thought for sure I was cursed from that moment on, and it didn't improve like most of the way through Sunday. But I guess just the main takeaway was that like some of the biggest players we've had all season have really started to fade here. Like pretty much the whole Rams and Saints. Like 3 weeks ago, I feel like both those teams were on top of the world, and all their players were firing on all cylinders, and now they're just like stinking it up here towards the end of the season. So I'm not really sure what's going on there.
That's what's crazy about fantasy is you just each week you have to pretty much be ready to be flexible and pivot. Like you can't just Drew Brees, there's been kind of writing on the wall for the last few weeks that things are not going too well for him when he's on the road. When he doesn't do well, Michael Thomas doesn't do well. So sometimes you got to just accept the facts and pivot from them. But it's hard to do that when they've been so good for you all year. But yeah, Cosmo, what was your biggest takeaway from this matchup here?
Yeah. Nahum's season, I feel like his team throughout this whole entire season has kind of rested on the shoulders of Drew Brees and Mike Thomas. So when these guys crap it up, there's not much you can do. I think it's kind of poetic that these two guys are the ones that let Nahum's season down. But Drew Brees and Michael Thomas in particular have just been pretty bad for Nahum over the last couple of weeks. Brees has averaged 9 points over the last 3 weeks. Michael Thomas has averaged 9 points over the last 4 weeks. So when that's happening, it's just really hard for you to get any momentum going. And I really think that stems from their defense emerging. Like earlier in the season, the Saints are getting into a lot of shootouts. And like if you look at all the scores like higher, earlier in the season, like Drew Brees was forced in a position where he had to throw the ball a lot. And now that they're shutting down all these opposing offenses, all these games are becoming a lot less high scoring, and just the need for him to chunk the ball is just a lot less. So I think that's kind of the downfall of Nahum's season there. And yeah, I think it's impressive that Duncan was able to pull off this win, especially considering that bum Keenan Allen freaking blew out his hip in the middle of that game. Not salty about that, but yeah, I think Duncan's team performed very well. Besides from Jared Goff, who's been slipping late, and then Gronk, who I think might be done at this point. But
I was watching that game, and he was just like literally just blocking the entire time, and even then, just kind of just standing in front of the other guy. It felt like
I get the sense that Belichick is just like done with Gronk. I think they're kind of just like over him right now.
Yeah, I think Gronk's ready to retire. I heard he wants to move to Hollywood and try out acting. So,
oh god, just what we need.
I feel like he'll be a good WWE player.
Yeah, they said the WWE tried to reach out to him and offer him something, but I think he wants to try.
I think that's where his talent belongs. So I think that's a perfect fit for him.
Yeah, I think he should go there, but he seems like he wants to go try acting. But I mean, if you watch his Tide commercial, he might want to rethink that. But
the Tide Pods.
Yeah, not good. But yeah, as you said with Drew Brees and Michael Thomas, I mean, Nahum started this season 4-0. He was on fire. He was number one at one point, and he was scoring a ton of points at the start. He was our king sausage several times, and then like you said, ever since Mark Ingram came back and the defense started picking it up, they started to get back to the way they were last year, where it was just focus on the run, play good defense, and just get home with the W. And they have not been good for fantasy lately. So, and as you said, Nahum's team kind of rides or dies with Drew Brees and Michael Thomas this season. So there was a chance there, but he was unable to make it. Raahi, are you glad to see Nahum not make the championship after he crushed you in round one?
Yeah. Nahum, I don't like your kind. That's the truth.
Yikes.
No, but I was actually looking back at one of the trades he made, and like crazy to think that actually kind of worked out for him. Because didn't he give you Odell for Sam Diggs?
Yeah, I was thinking about that
Yeah,
earlier
that's
today.
crazy.
Yeah, we made a trade: Stephon Diggs, Odell Beckham Jr., and then Alex Collins and Latavius Murray. And so Alex Collins and Murray have both kind of busted for both of us. Alex Collins, sucked and then went on IR, and Latavius Murray got replaced by Dalvin Cook when he came back. So it really just came down to Odell and Stephon Diggs. And I mean, uh, in the stretch end of the regular season there, Diggs missed a couple games where Odell didn't, so that helped me out a little bit. But honestly, ever since I believe we traded in week 8 and we played each other in week 9, um, so yeah,
Yeah.
Diggs was out, or no, yeah, so we had them for week 8. So Diggs got 22.9 points for Nahum in week 8, so that was a good move there. And I think Odell got like 17 or 18 that week, so it wasn't too bad. But then Diggs missed week 9, 0 points. I think Odell got like 21 there. Or no, actually he was on bye. And then, but yeah, so Diggs ever since we traded has been 22, missed a game, 25,
Yeah,
18,
he's done pretty good.
7, but that was when he was kind of injured. And then 10, 13. So yeah, that I was thinking about that. That trade, I think both of it was just kind of even. I think at first it kind of looked bad in Nahum's favor, but it's worked out pretty well for both of us. So
Yeah.
I think
But and then on Duncan's side, dude, besides Gurley, bro, like your Devontae Adams pick was gold, bro. Like I'm looking at his recent games. Like you talk about consistency. This guy is so consistent.
Yeah, I don't think he scored less
oh
than
yeah.
12 this season. Like that's his
Wait,
lowest point
how
total.
many touchdowns is 1, 2, 3, 4, 6,
Yeah, he either
7,
gets like a touchdown
9,
or he gets a
10,
yardage. Either one.
11, 12. Wow, he has 12 touchdowns on the season.
He's
12
like no
touchdowns.
one talks about him. He's so underrated.
Out of 15 games, he has
Yeah,
12
for sure.
touchdowns. Yeah, he almost averages a touchdown a game, which is insane.
It's about the only good thing that's gone well for the Packers this season.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
really good.
it's been really cool to see him emerge as a really good wide receiver in this league. Because I know for a couple years he was, in the shadow of Jordy Nelson. Was just kind of this. People would say he wouldn't run that great of routes. He was just kind of this backup option for, behind Randall Cobb and Jordy Nelson. But he's really emerged here this year, and I'm pretty happy to see that. But yeah, I mean, consistent. Probably one of the most consistent people in this league. I mean, 17, 16, 14, 12, 24, 30, 15, 13, 19, 21, 15, 19, 17, 15. Like, yeah, so
Yeah.
I mean, you can pretty much count on that baseline for him every week, being number 1 target for Aaron Rodgers. So pretty good week, pretty good year for Devontae Adams. But
Good job, Daddy.
yeah, so
Thank you, Daddy.
Duncan scores his lowest of the season and survives. It's always nice to be able to get past those weeks. I think mine was when I faced Cameron. I ended up scoring pretty low, but I was able to pull out the win. So yeah, good showing there from Duncan. Choke job from Nahum. Didn't make the championship. Would that have been Nahum's first appearance in the fantasy championship? I'm not sure on that.
I think so.
Duncan, I was thinking about this. Have you made any championships but lost since the first season?
No, I haven't. That's why, like, I almost forgot like what it was like to be because that first season, like, half of us didn't. I for sure did not know what I was doing at all. Like,
Yeah.
Like Jimmy Graham was my savior that season when he was still with the Saints, and he was just like touchdown machine. Like he pretty much him and Nick Foles, like Nick Foles' first like magical season. Though they were like basically the reason I won that year.
Yeah, I went back and looked at our draft from season 1, and I mean our first 2 rounds were just like so trash picks. Like I was just looking at all of them and I was like, I can't believe we picked those guys in the first 2 rounds. But yeah, so we've come a long way. The league is very
but since then
competitive.
I've just consistent. I'm pretty sure I've made the playoffs every year since then, but I've just choke jobbed it up every year.
Hey, well, you know, the emergency vehicle got here and was able to perform the Heimlich on you before you choked away.
Yeah,
someone
because
here.
Keenan Allen and Gronk and Goff definitely tried their hardest.
Yeah, they all did their
Yeah.
hardest, but all right. So in the consolation bracket here, we kind of mentioned this earlier. We'll just go over this real quick. Cosmo and Rahi were fighting for fifth place here, and Cosmo came away with the win, 85-73. And then Akshay faced Cameron here. There's been a lot of bad blood between these two, a lot of trash talk. Akshay comes away with the win here, 93-84 to move on to the seventh place matchup. And Aaron, probably the best team that did not make the playoffs. I mean, I say probably. It's pretty obvious. Best team that did not make the playoffs. Unfortunately, it was left out in seventh place. He beat his matchup against Taylor, and Taylor scored a whopping 66 points this week. So not good. All he needs is Saquon, and he did not have Saquon this past week. So yeah, Saquon did not do too well. But Aaron moves on to the seventh place matchup, trying to defend his regular season position against Akshay there. So that was our week 15 review. And real quick, we'll go over our biggest surprises. So Cosmo, what is your biggest takeaway or your biggest surprise from week 15?
Yeah, the biggest surprise, the absolute collapse of the Rams offense. Like, it wasn't that long ago when we all watched that Monday night game against the Chiefs where they put up 50 points against them. And now, like, the last 2 weeks, they've been absolutely terrible. They've lost the last 2 weeks. And I think the biggest culprit here is Jared Goff. And I saw some interesting stats that I think speak volumes to the arguments that Jared Goff, I think a lot of people argue that Jared Goff actually isn't that good, that he's more of a product of Sean McVay's brilliance in the offense. And I saw some stats that really kind of feed into that argument. And so apparently when he has a clean pocket, when he has a lot of time to throw the ball, he doesn't have defenders pressuring him, he has the fifth best passer rating in the league. And when he has any kind of pressure, under pressure, he has the fifth worst passer rating in all the league. And that's the biggest differential out of any quarterback. So whenever he has any kind of pressure, he's just hot garbage. And to add on to that fact, ever since Cooper Kupp has gone, whenever he doesn't have Cooper Kupp, his passer rating has dropped a full 20 points. So without one of those critical weapons, he's performed a lot worse. I don't know. I really think that, I don't think Goff is a bad quarterback by any means. Like some of the performances he's had this season, like you can't have that if you're just like a bad quarterback. But I really do think that Sean McVay is making him look a lot better than he actually is. And I think with some injuries that the Rams have sustained, I think they're really going to have to put it together really quickly, or they might have a surprising first round exit from the playoffs.
Yeah, I was watching that game, and I was telling Duncan and I were texting about Jared Goff, that I've never really thought Jared Goff was that good. And okay, so being at Baylor for 4 years, obviously our team was a huge system offense. Like with Art Briles, all our guys were like 2-star rated players, but they were just playing super well in the system. And then whenever we got into a tough matchup against a team that could shut the system down, where we actually needed our players to, make plays and stuff, we couldn't ever do it. And so I recognized a lot of that in Jared Goff. And the way I looked at it was, Jared Goff comes into the league and shows absolutely no sign of being good under Jeff Fisher. Like, I know Jeff Fisher's bad, but usually if a player's really good, look at Baker Mayfield. Under a bad coaching regime, he still had a couple flashy games, right? And then now that the bad coaches are out and they're having a good system there, he's playing really, really well. But he still flashed a couple good games. Jared Goff never flashed a good game while he was under Jeff Fisher. Sean McVay comes in, all of a sudden he's super good, and it was like clearly the system benefits him. Whereas like Todd Gurley under Jeff Fisher was still really good, had his breakout games and stuff like that, and now he's amazing under Sean McVay. So yeah, Jared Goff, and if you watch, whenever they get pressure on him, he just kind of crumples in the pocket. Like he takes sacks, or he doesn't really know what to do. He gets his happy feet and just throws the ball.
If you saw his interception last game, that was the most disgusting. That was pathetic. Like he got a hand on him and he just crumpled, and then he just like tosses it into whoever Eagles' hands. I'm like, what in the world are you doing?
Yeah, it was not good. And then the announcers were also talking about or I don't know if this was announcers. I don't remember who was saying this. It might have been the halftime show, but so apparently, what works so well for the Rams is that they play in 11 personnel, is what it's called, pretty much the whole time, and that means 3 wide receivers, 1 running back. But the reason they don't ever have to switch from that apparently was Cooper Kupp. Apparently Cooper Kupp is a super good blocker on the end of the line. And so what they would do is if they'd spread everyone out, have 3 receivers, it looks like they're going to have some spread offense play, then Goff would motion Kupp in, and he would get on the end of the line, and then he would block, and they would just run with Gurley, and he'd get some good blocks, and Gurley would, go for some good yardage there. So it kept the defense guessing. Is it like, is this going to be, a pass play? Is Kupp actually blocking? Like, we don't know. And so, yeah, Kupp is actually a really pivotal player to the Rams, and it's a shame that he had to get injured in the season because, he was doing really well. But I guess, me dropping him wasn't that bad of an idea, am I right? But all right. So yeah, the collapse of the Rams. We'll see if they can get it going here. I'm getting a feeling that the Chiefs and the Rams are both going to disappoint in the playoffs, just because that's what that kind of team does. But we'll have to see. All right. Well, my surprise of the week was 10-year backup veteran Josh Johnson of the Redskins goes into Jacksonville and puts the smackdown on the Jacksonville Jaguars. I mean, I picked up the Jacksonville defense like 2 weeks ago in preparation for this game because I was like, they're at home. They're angry that Derrick Henry just manhandled them. They're just going to, they're going to pick off Josh Johnson like 60 times and take one back to the house. And get me a bunch of points. So I picked him up, and I even saw Brandon picked up the Tennessee defense who plays Redskins in Week 16, in preparation for that if he made the championship game. So, everyone was thinking this was not going to be good, and Josh Johnson comes in. Apparently, he hadn't thrown a pass in like 10 years. He was just like a perennial backup, but it was like always a third string or whatever. And yeah, I don't know. It had been like 10 years, and he comes in, and he actually had like no interceptions. Luckily, the Jaguars got like a punt fumble return for a touchdown and gave me some points. But yeah, Josh Johnson coming in there playing super well for the Redskins, escaping with the victory 16-13. That was my biggest surprise from this past week. But all right, let's real quick get into the Week 16 preview. That's right, it is championship week here. So we'll get right into these matchups here. All right, in Week 16, I am looking at the wrong one. All right, Week 16 here. In the championship, we'll save it for last. So let's go to the consolation bracket real quick here. In the 9th place game, so this one, juicy matchup here. 9th place, all I need is Saquon 2-11, who finished the regular season 10th, versus anything but last 5-8, who finished the regular season 8th. This one is currently projected 106-92 in favor of Cameron. And yeah, that's right. None of Taylor guys are injured, and he has a projection of 92.9 points. Not looking good.
Ouch.
Yeah, ouch. Where's
Ow!
Yeah. So Cameron, clearly not paying attention to his team anymore, has had the number 1 waiver wire pickup for the last like 8 weeks and has not used it. Yeah, clearly not paying attention. Cosmo, do you think Taylor can squeak out the win here and move into 9th place for the final standings here?
I think it's unlikely, but the one path I think to victory Taylor might have is I think there's a good chance that Lamar Miller will not play, and I bet $5 that actually I don't want to bet $5, but I'm pretty sure Cameron will not move him out regardless. So I think that's the only chance Taylor has. Otherwise, I just don't see it. Saquon just cannot do it by himself, and yeah, I mean, you just look at his team. They scored 66 points last week. Jameis Winston, who usually is great, cracked under the pressure when he actually faced a tough defense and faces another tough defense with Dallas. So, yeah, I just don't really see it for Taylor. So, in this forget the championship game. This is the one to watch. This is the most stakes here. In the most critical game of the season, I'm going with Cameron here.
Yeah, I mean, Cameron doesn't want to finish last, but not looking good right now. Raahi, who are you voting for in this matchup?
you know my history with Tay Tay, the trash can. But Cameron muted the group, so you know what? I'm sticking with Tay Tay, my boy.
All right,
He's gonna
Duncan.
take this home.
Duncan, what are you looking at between these two?
Yeah, I think Cameron's gonna take it. I'm looking at DeAndre Hopkins, who had a monster game last game, and he's going against trash Philadelphia secondary, which I really thought the Rams were going to take more advantage of, but they didn't. And I think DeAndre Hopkins is going to make a meal out of them, and Tariq Cohen, he's been doing really well all season. So I think between those two, Cameron will be able to have enough to get past Taylor.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
And also, sorry. Also,
go
quick
ahead.
shout out to Aaron for those quality memes. I know.
Oh yeah.
I know Taylor's been the meme lord, or the meme king this season, but those were some quality memes.
Yeah, good job, Aaron, on those. That was some good meme in there.
A+, bro.
Yeah, I'm gonna go now. Thinking of what Rahi said, Cameron muted the group. He's not even checking his team. He's checked out on us. I don't even know if he's listening to this podcast. I'm offended. I'm going with my boy Taylor. All I need is Saquon to take 9th place and finish his season in 9th place and knock Cameron to the bottom spot. But all right, our next matchup, this one is even juicier. I mean, this consolation bracket is just, it's insane this week. This time for the 7th place matchup, we have repeat offender fanboy Akshay who finished the regular season in 9th, trying to jump 2 spots here, going against Jimmy Garoppolo's Aaron, who finished the regular season in 7th, just narrowly missing the playoffs. Duncan, do you think Aaron can defend his 7th place title here?
Yeah, I do. I think out of all the teams in our league, Aaron's team probably had the most, or the worst luck out of anyone. I still think he has one of the best rosters just on paper. Looking at his roster with Mahomes and Brown and McCaffrey, like it's really surprising me that a team with those 3 players right now, who have all been doing pretty well the past couple weeks, didn't even make playoffs. So I think he'll be able to make quick work of Akshay.
Rahi, are you cheering for your Indian brother here?
Hell no. I'll go Akshay. Aaron came up with those memes, bro. I have to go with Aaron. Those memes were too good.
All right, Cosmo, who are you siding with?
Yeah, I agree. I think Aaron is fairly in the bracket, and yeah, I agree with everything that Duncan said. I think his team is really good, and I think he will win the ultimate rivalry between Akshay and Aaron that started before week 1.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Aaron as well. I feel bad for him, missing the playoffs. Definitely, one of the best teams in our league with a really good roster. Just hit some bad luck. Dalvin Cook not showing up all season. If Dalvin Cook had done what he did last week all season long, I think Aaron could have been a top three team. But yeah, so I'm going to go with him here to defend his 7th place title and have some sort of victory here at the end of the season. But all right, our next matchup, the matchup for who doesn't need to spend any money this season, who earns back their money that they put in the pot here. And isn't this kind of funny, y'all, that it's between Nahum and Brandon, some of the 2 most stingy people with money in our in our friend group here. I mean, honestly, these 2 probably care more about winning this game and not having to spend their money than.
Well, we know Nahum.
And technically, I don't want to burst anyone's bubble, but because of the fact that we raised the money to $20 to account for the trophy, technically they're not even winning their money back. They're just getting half of their money back.
You should have said that.
That's true. That's true.
Clear, yeah.
I mean, this is the only year that we're buying that trophy, so because the trophy is just going to be passed around from winner to winner now. So, yeah, but yeah, technically they're only making half their money back this year. But it's just so funny to me that's between these 2. But yeah, here we go. 3rd place matchup between I Don't Like Your Kind, Nahum's team, who finished 5th place this year, against repeat offender Brandon, who finished 3rd place this year. So Brandon trying to defend his 3rd place title here. Nahum's got Drew Brees, Michael Thomas that we talked about already. They're at home this week. Maybe they can score a little bit more. Stephon Diggs against Detroit, who he already tore up this season. Tevin Coleman, Carolina, Kenneth Dixon, Travis Kelce, Demaryius Thomas. And on Brandon's side, Big Ben against New Orleans, Tyreek Hill, Brandon Cooks, Zeke, Jalen Samuels, Mark Ingram, the usual. So who do you think wins, Rahi, in the battle of who gets to keep their wallet in their pocket?
Um,
If they remembered it.
I'm gonna go for. I think Brand's gonna get this one. I think
Yeah.
Michael Thomas and Drew Brees are gonna choke again.
Oh man, Duncan, what about you? You agree with Rahi or not?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to disagree because I think now that Breeze and Thomas they're finally playing at home this season, and I'm just looking through Breeze all of his home games this season, and he's like averaging pretty much 20 points at least a game at home. So that seems like a pretty big advantage for him. I think they'll be more hot than cold this week, and obviously we heard last week how much Nahum cares about this third place game. So he's going to be hunting on those waiver wires, and he's going to be ready.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty funny to see if his waiver wire strategy pays off this week.
He can go get Jamal Adams, or what's it, Jamal? Yeah, or Williams, not Adams.
Jamal Malik.
It was so funny though. He was like, "Yeah, my strategy was to not pick anyone up, so I'd move up in the waiver wire." And then he went and checked, and he's like, "Oh, I just moved up from 6th to 5th." And it's like that's like all he did. Like, yeah, we'll see if he can grab someone that can help him out this week. Cosmo, who do you think wins here?
Yeah, I Duncan. I think Drew Brees and Michael Thomas are due for a good game, and I think it'll help going against a high-powered offense like Pittsburgh. I think whenever they play pretty good dynamic offenses that can run the score up, I think that will only help Drew Brees and Michael Thomas. And I'm also very concerned for Brandon, whereas I think right now he matches up very well at tight end with Jalen Samuels, but I kind of think James Conner is going to play this week. And so if that happens, that really hurts his tight end position and gives Nahum a really big advantage there. So I think Nahum's hungry for this third place. He came for third place. He didn't even care about first place. So I'm going to give this one to Nahum.
I have a little bit of a mini bowl prediction here. I say that this matchup is going to be higher scoring than Duncan and I's matchup this week.
Oh.
And I say this one finishes like 145 to 140 or something like that. And I'm going to go with Nahum on this one just because he cares so much about getting this third place matchup. He wants that $10 back. I think he grabs third place and Brandon slips to fourth place here. But I think it's going to be an extremely high scoring game between the two of them because they both have very boomer bust teams. And looking at these teams, they're all facing some pretty good matchups here. Like you said, with Drew Brees, Michael Thomas at home against Pittsburgh's kind of not so great secondary. And then on the other side, we got Zeke against Tampa Bay, Brandon Cooks against Arizona, and Tyreek Hill against Seattle. So could be a very high scoring game between the two of them. So we'll have to see who wins on that. But all right, that brings us to our final matchup of the week here. And wow, the predictions have changed a lot as we've been talking here. So that's right. We are in...
Who's your daddy?
We are in the championship here against number 1 seed President Fight Milk and number 2 seed Whip My Nips. So this matchup here, it's a juicy one. Let's get it into this. Coming from the top side of the bracket here, we've got President Fight Milk Duncan 9-4, who finished the regular season number 1 overall. Had a bit of a bad week last week, but survived and made it into the championship. His first appearance in the championship since season 1 of the Sausage Bowl. Can he take it? Can he take the victory here? We will find out.
Yes.
And then on the other side of the bracket here, looking from the bottom side of the bracket, we have Whip My Nips. That's right. Oh, I'm coming in dancing, boy. I'm coming in straight from Club Phoenix here, coming right at you from the bottom side of the bracket. Oh, all right, making his first appearance ever in the history of Soccer Pool into the championship game here. We've got Whip My Nips, who finished number 2 on the season and grabbed that first round bye. That's right. He has been exercising his demons all season long, coming back from an 0-3 start, the number 10 pick overall, breaking through the first round curse and defeating Brandon in the playoffs. That's right. He's doing it against all odds this season. Doesn't matter how many injuries, he's still performing, and he's coming in here against the mighty President Fight Milk. That's right. So this matchup is the first ever appearance for Whip My Nips in the championship and the first appearance for Duncan since season 1. So it's been a long time for both these people, and it's I think a really good matchup here. So we've got currently projected 131 to 124 for Duncan here. And on my side, we have Russell Wilson against Kansas City. Julio Jones against Carolina, divisional matchup here of two teams that don't really care about what's happening in the season anymore, so we'll have to see how that goes. Currently, I have Odell Beckham Jr. against Indianapolis in my lineup, but it's still unsure if he's going to come back this week or not. Melvin Gordon has been practicing in full, apparently looks really healthy, and if last week's game had been on Sunday and not Thursday, he actually would have played, so he's looking really good. Surprised he made it back this season, but I'm happy to have him there, and of course I have him in my lineup. Right now I've got James Conner against New Orleans, pretty tough matchup, so I'm still kind of on the fence about that one, but we'll have to see. Zach Ertz against Houston, really good matchup for Zach Ertz, but Nick Foles has not been targeting him as much as Carson Wentz, so we'll have to see if they can get a connection there. But then again, Duncan doesn't have the best tight end situation either. So Leonard Fournette is currently still in my lineup, but apparently the reason he sucked it up last week was he was dealing with a foot injury. So we'll have to see if he remains in there. And then Kaimi Fairbairn, the mega leg kicker, and right now Jacksonville defense. On Duncan's side, we got Jared Goff still in the starting lineup against Arizona. Is this a get-right game for the Rams? We'll have to see. Devontae Adams against New York Jets. He's probably going to eat up that secondary. Juju Smith-Schuster against New Orleans here, and then Todd Gurley against Arizona. Duncan comes out with probably the juiciest matchup a running back can get this season in the championship game. So very, very nice there for Duncan for the number 1 running back to get that juicy matchup. Chris Carson against Kansas City, another juicy matchup for the running back on a team where they love to pound the ball. So Chris Carson looking good there. Rob Gronkowski looks like he's ready to retire and start acting. So I don't know if he's going to still has a 10-point projection. I think that's just a pity projection for Gronk. But he's facing Buffalo at home. And then look at this. In the flex spot for Duncan, we have Derrick Henry. That's right. That is right. Derrick Henry has been performing insanely well in these playoff weeks. Yeah. 47.8 points in round 1, 29.74 in round 2. I mean, he had 33 carries last week. That is insane. So because of the Keenan Allen injury and no one else really good to put in there, Duncan currently has Derrick Henry in his lineup. Is he going to win or lose with Derrick Henry in his lineup? I guess we'll have to find out. But yeah, the Tennessee Titans have been trying to take the ball out of Marcus Mariota's hands the past 2 weeks, and it's been working for them. So we'll have to see if that continues. But a very, very juicy matchup here. I think definitely, I know I'm kind of biased here, but just looking over the league, I think these are the best 2 teams in the league, and number 1 seed, number 2 seed. So it should be an interesting matchup here. But Cosmo, why don't you kick it off? What's interesting here in this matchup for you? What are you noticing, and who do you think is going to take home the championship?
Yeah, I think it's going to be very high scoring. It's going to come down to the wire. I don't think any particular team is going to blow the other team out. And I just kind of went line by line just to see who I think has the advantage at each matchup and ultimately who I think is going to win. So I think starting at quarterback, as much as this probably is a get-right game for Jared Goff, I still have to go Russell Wilson on Danny's side for the quarterback position. I just don't trust Goff right now. He's had 3 straight crapper games, whereas Russell Wilson's been very consistent, and he goes against one of the easiest defenses in Kansas City. I think for wide receiver 1, I prefer Devontae Adams. He's just been a lot more consistent. We kind of touched on that earlier. I mean, they're both great. I think they're both going to have great games. But, I mean, Devontae Adams has been, maybe the most consistent receiver out there, and he has a juicy matchup against the Jets. I also think I'd probably take Juju over Odell Beckham. If Odell Beckham was 100% healthy and I knew for sure he's going to play, I'd take him. But I just don't know. And I think that uncertainty gives Duncan the edge. And then I also give him the edge with Gurley and Carson, just because of the uncertainty with Gordon and Connor. Gordon has a tough matchup against Baltimore, and Connor is banged up and has a tough matchup against New Orleans, who actually has a good run defense, and Carson's just been killing it. But I think Danny has advantage in the next 3 spots. I think Ertz is much, much better than Gronk. Gronk looks done, and Ertz, I know he had a bad game, but I think he'll bounce back. I think whoever Danny picks for that last spot will. I just can't trust Derrick Henry. I know he's had 2 great games, so I just can't trust this guy. And I think whoever Danny puts in at his flex spot will out-earn Derrick Henry. And then finally at the kicker position, Fairburn has been the number 1 kicker in all fantasy, if I'm not mistaken. So I have to give him the edge. So ultimately, this comes down to which defense do I think is going to perform better between Chicago and Jacksonville. Jacksonville came in as one of the top defenses coming into the season, but I've really faltered as late, whereas Chicago has been one of the best. And although Jacksonville has a juicy matchup against Miami, Chicago has just been the best defense. They shut down the Rams. They've shut down the Packers last week. And they go against Nick Mullins with the 49ers. And we've seen Jacksonville kind of blow it. So I think in a very, very close matchup, when I took everything into consideration, I think Duncan will squeak by, but it would not surprise me if this goes in any other direction. I think it's going to be a nail biter.
Yeah, it's some solid analysis, and hopefully it ends up being a pretty juicy matchup that everyone can.
I will say the quarterback position is not finalized for sure. So we'll see come Sunday who will be in that spot.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I mean, Arizona. Let's see. When they played Arizona earlier this year, I forget what did he do.
He did okay. He did.
Yeah,
I think he got like 16, something like that. Yeah, 16.
Yeah,
points.
It's probably just because Gurley was running wild over the Arizona defense. But yeah, so we'll have to see. Yeah, we know waivers. We're recording this a little early. Waivers have not gone through, so there's probably going to be some minor differences in these teams. We'll have to see what happens there. But Raahi, who do you think comes home with the championship this year for Sausage Bowl Season 6?
Let's take a second to respect Derrick Henry, okay? Man, we were bashing this guy this whole season in this podcast. And look where he's at. My boy's playing in the final. Can't get any better.
The true underdog story.
Can't get any better than that. But yeah. Is Derrick Henry about to reach 1,000 yards?
No,
Dude,
I don't think so.
Dude,
Bro, he's rushed like 400.
He could. I mean, he's at
days.
882. So if he had 100 plus 100, 18
How is he at
game?
882?
Oh my God. Yeah.
What? He's got 26, 56, 57, 24, 56, 21, 33, 27, 58, 46, 30, 40, 238, 170.
That's what the stats say.
What the heck? Oh my God.
Dude,
Yeah.
it'd be so ironic. I mean, Derrick Henry, the joke of the podcast, if he becomes the guy that gives someone a title, that would just be.
I'd say.
Oh my God.
Oh my
Honestly,
God.
it might just come up to Derrick Henry.
I don't believe, but we'll see.
All right, Rahi, who's your pick?
All right. What if it's a tie? What happens? I'm not saying it's gonna be a tie, but
Mine.
I don't know, dude. I don't think we've ever had a tie.
dude, that's
I
crazy.
think
Split
it
the
goes to
trophy.
the higher seed, but I'm not entirely sure on that.
Oh shoot.
But I mean,
But
I don't think
anyways,
it'll come to that.
I've raised my son the right way. I believe in him, man. I believe in Todd the God. And I got my son. I got my son winning the final.
Hey,
All
You
right.
mean your Okay, moving on.
Bastard child.
Did you not remember the game played, Rahi?
Who your daddy?
Hey, man,
Who
it
your
can go
daddy?
both ways. But right now, he's my son.
Who your daddy?
All right. Duncan, you and I are not allowed to pick because of our bias, but what are you keeping your eye on in this matchup?
Definitely a quarterback position for me. Like I said, I that QB spot is not finalized yet. I mean, on one hand, like I've rode Goff pretty much the whole season, and I ended up in first. And I mean, he was good for a majority of the season. But on the other hand, he has been doo-doo the last 3 weeks. So definitely some question marks there. And then obviously Gronkowski is just a shell of himself. So we'll have to see if he can get hyped in his hometown Buffalo. But yeah, I think the Derrick Henry pick. I think it's going to come down to that. That might make or break me.
Oh my God! Yeah, it's
But I
gonna
got to
be,
pull out the stops, man, because like your team, you're the highest scoring team in the league. So I got to keep up with you in the arms race. So
yeah, you might as well go with the boom there, see if there's any boom. But yeah, it'll be interesting. I mean, you look back and Cosmo made a quarterback change to at the last second from Phillip Rivers to Marcus Mariota, and it cost him. So sometimes it's really difficult with these picks of
that's true.
pivoting off of someone that you've had all season.
So you're
and
saying
all
I
that
should
stuff.
start Marcus Mariota?
Yes, of course. I think so. I think that Derrick Henry, Marcus Mariota stack would be insane. Would probably get you the win, so that's what you should go with. But yeah, so
Psych. I'm going with Peterman.
dude, you should go with Josh Johnson. But yeah, no,
Oh,
I think it's going to be a really good game. I'm glad we're matched up in this one. I think hopefully it's a juicy matchup and neck the whole way. Hopefully no one has to deal with some busting or whatever. But yeah, we'll have to see how the championship goes. And I think either way, it's going to be a good matchup. And I think either way, both of us will be happy, if we win or the other person wins. So it's a good one. I'm looking forward to it. But all right, there you have it. Our Week 16 preview, our preview of the championship. We'll see who takes home the title and takes home the trophy and gets their name engraved in that trophy for season 6. But all right, our last week bold predictions. We have Ching Chong Wee Wee, aka Cosmo, said Nahum's ragtag group of running backs: Tevin Coleman, Jeff Wilson, and if he decides to start someone else, will combine for 40 points and outscore Duncan's running back. Wrong. Tevin Coleman got 20 points, but Kenneth Dixon sucked and did not outscore Duncan's running back. I mean, I think Todd Gurley alone outscored Nahum's running back. So, yeah, not a good bold prediction there. My bold prediction last week was Travis Kelce was going to finish as the number 1 tight end on the week and will score more points than the 3, 4, and 5 tight end combined. I was wrong. He finished as the number 5 tight end, even though it was a crappy week overall for tight ends. But so I was wrong.
Man hurts.
Yeah, Manhurts was definitely the pickup of the week. You should not have played Travis Kelce. Nahum said he was going to score below 27.6 points, and he was wrong. He scored 90.62 and had a chance to make the championship, but was unable to. And then Taylor said Taylor was going to score the highest point total out of the league this week, and Duncan will have the lowest. And he was wrong. Duncan scored 100, and Taylor scored the lowest with 66 points this week. So he kind of cursed himself there. But all right, real quick, our Week 16 bold prediction.
Ow!
The Great Cornholio.
Hey, come on, Daddy, you gotta say it right.
How do you say that?
Cosmo, how does he say it?
The Great Cornholio.
Keep
But
it
yeah.
bunghole.
My bold prediction for this week, in honor of the best analyst that's ever graced this earth, Stephen A. Smith. I believe that Hunter Henry will return for Week 16, and he will finish as the number 1 tight end for the week, even beating out Chris Hertzman. He will be the number 1. So put that in the books. It's gonna happen.
Dude, that whole segment was hysterical. Like, I feel like Stephen A was like,
That Jason Witten one on Cam. He's
Wait, what was that?
He's like, Cam was trying to run the ball, and then Jason Witten was like, see, Cam is like the best after catch runner in the league.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
yeah,
I also,
Bro,
yeah, there was Monday. I sent a message about it, but yeah, they were so amped up. You came back from a commercial and they were like, "Oh my God, we've got Luke Kuechly mic'd up. Listen to what he says, but pre-snap, it's absolutely insane. Here it is. Listen to it." And then they showed the play, and it's like Luke Kuechly like points to one guy and says like one word to his linebacker to his right, and then freaking Mark Ingram runs for like 20 yards on them, and they're like, "That was amazing." And I was like, "What the heck? He didn't even do anything." But yeah, it's not good, and Stephen A. not good either. But all right, Hunter Henry finishes the number 1 tight end in week 16. All right, the Galactic Gaping Holes week 16 bold prediction. My team's plague of injuries. This is me, by the way. My team's plague of injuries continues, and my entire team that is currently in my starting lineup is out for week 16, and I have to play an entire team of waiver wire pickups. Yeah, that's my bold prediction this week. Is that by the end of this week, I will be having to go to the waiver wires to fill in every slot on my team, and to try and beat Duncan. But all right, the unwiped bunghole, Duncan. What is your bold prediction?
so this week we have the Buccaneers and the Cowboys playing, and we have two pretty turnover-heavy quarterbacks going head-to-head to see who can turn the ball over more times, who can hold on to the ball for 10 hours in the pocket before getting sacked and strip sacked for a defensive touchdown. So my prediction is that Jameis Winston and Dak Prescott combined for 10 total turnovers this week.
Dang, I definitely don't want to play either of those guys. But
I think it's possible Winston on it all on his own, honestly.
Yeah, for sure.
Dude, Dak freaking like fumbles like twice a game and throws like 2 picks a game. He cannot hold on to the ball, I swear. And he like is not aware at all of the pocket collapsing on him. Like he'll just be standing there and some guy's like breathing down his neck, and then he just gets
the
sacked.
defender could have like a megaphone yelling at "I'm coming for you." He would still like just take it from behind.
Also, like freaking, I don't get it. Like a lot of times they'll be tackling him, and no one's even going for the ball. They're just tackling him, and all of a sudden it just like flies out of his hand and just goes like fumble. I don't get it. But all right, our final week 16 bold prediction comes in from Saddam Hussein himself. Raahi, what is your bold prediction?
All right, my bold prediction is so whoever's starting for the Redskins, whoever's the starting QB, I know it's not Mark, but the starting QB is going to fracture his fibula, and then Mark Sanchez is going to come in, and he's going to repeat his butt fumble and fracture his face.
Ooh,
There's a lot of fracturing, dude.
Yeah.
Oh!
All right, there you have it. The Week 16 bold predictions. Stephen A. Smith, in honor of him, Hunter Henry will finish as the number 1 tight end this week. Danny's team will all get injured, and he has to replace them with an entire team of waiver wire pickups. Jameis Winston and Dak Prescott will combine for 10 turnovers, and Mark Sanchez will fracture his face by running into his offensive lineman's butt. So we'll have to see who's correct on that and see if we get any more last-second bold predictions correct. But all right, there you have it. Championship week, number 1 Duncan, number 2 Danny. Let's see who takes home the trophy of the Sausage Bowl Season 6. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you guys next week. So quick rundown of our final episodes here. So next week we're going to go over, kind of review the whole season, look at some draft picks, look at the regular season, look how the playoffs went. And then we are also going to come up with several awards for players and team owners. And we'll give you nominees on each of these awards, and we'll send out. I was thinking we might get some sort of electronic document together as sort of just a quiz. You go and click who you want to vote for, and we'll send it out to you guys. Vote for who you want for each award. And so next week we'll have a season review, award nominees, and then we'll finish it up with one last episode after that to do the award show and announce the winner of each award. and wrap up the Sausage Bowl podcast. So that is the future notice there. Cosmo, do you have any last words for our viewers this week?
Yeah, I do. And actually, we have some results from last week's intense
Oh,
rap
yes.
battle.
Ooh.
So I will announce the results that we got from most of the voters. Not all of them, but I think a good enough sample size. So the winner of round 1 of the initial rap battle, the winner of that round goes to Taylor. So Taylor won round 1. The winner of round 2 in the special Uncle Nahum episode, the winner of round 2 was Nahum. And then finally, it all came down to round 3, the roast off. And drum roll, please, the winner of the first ever Sausage Bowl podcast was Uncle Nahum.
Oh,
The crown.
Oh,
He is now the defending champion of the rap battle and will probably be eager to defend his crown at any time.
yeah. Nahum committed murder on his way to winning that final round there. So, I mean, listening back to that segment on the podcast with the music, like, man, Nahum went in, bro. That music was like kill your friend kind of music, and Nahum just went with. He was like on beat the entire time, and yeah, it was intense, man. It was intense. Yeah, there's gonna be some wounds to mend there between Taylor and Nahum, but yeah, all right, Duncan. Any final words before this championship matchup?
Yep. As always, thanks for having me on as your esteemed guest. I'm hyped for this matchup. It's gonna be a doozy. It's gonna be a real good one. I'm sad that fantasy season is coming to an end here soon. It seems like it flew by, but I want to thank you guys for doing all these podcasts. This has definitely been like the most fun and memorable fantasy season. So I'm hyped for this finale.
We appreciate that. Yeah, we've enjoyed doing this podcast, and we want to keep doing it for years to come. I think it gets everyone amped up and enjoyed in the league. But all right, Raahi, hit us with those final words of episode 16 of the Sausage Bowl podcast.
all right. All you trash kids, get ready for next year because your Curry daddy is going to be winning the trophy.
Are
Will
you
you
going
be
to
taking
draft
Le'Veon?
Bell? Yeah.
Am I taking Le'Veon Bell? Next time I see you, I'm literally going to.
Okay, that's
I
it
don't
for
wanna say it.
episode 16 of the Sausage Bowl podcast. Thank you for tuning in, and good luck to everyone playing this week. And we will see you guys next week with the results of season 6 of the Sausage Bowl.
Who's your daddy?